The first step to making it to the final round of the Octane Series playoffs and winning the championship is a clean trip through Tornado Alley. It's your last race of the round of 10. 8 drivers are looking for 3 remaining spots, which means that 5 go home and less than that make it through. With 2 drivers already locked in, it's going to be a lot more difficult now to claim the throne without a solid performance. And with the Kansas Speedway being one of our final intermediates on the schedule, where everyone has dozens of races of experience, it's not going to be easy to separate yourself from the crowd, and yet that is the challenge that the best of the best will undertake tonight. Your top 10 in points whittled down to only 5. Welcome back to FTN Broadcasting for coverage of the Kansas Speedway Round of 10 playoff finale. Your 5 advancing drivers will compete for a championship through the rest of September into the month of October. It all begins, however, with clinching that ticket tonight. Welcome back to FTN Broadcasting. After the Ignite Series decided their final 5 last night, the Octane boys are set to do the same. Ethan Lane has already punched his ticket for both series. He will be the first of which going for double duty. It could happen again, depending on who locks in today. Currently, Sam Nieto has himself on the pole position with Nate Campbell in second, and a total of 25 plus drivers have registered. 23 have taken time so far. Taking a look now to Blake Cannon in the number 44. Cannon coming across the way, and he is on his first of 2 laps all the night. Right now, Sam Nieto leading by 21 thousandths of a second, and then you'll have Blake Cannon, of course, right now with no time. The goal is to get up there in the mix with Campbell, Stevenson, and company. As it stands, we've mentioned it, this is the case. Only 2 drivers are locked in. Ethan Lane is the only driver who can firmly say he's going for both championships, as it looks like Cannon locks up just before the start-finish line. But either way, he will not have time to get down for another lap, and so Cannon will be starting at the back of the field. Very bad news for him, as he is 7 points below the cut line, and it looks like his teammate Tom Wetmore will fare better and get it up into P6. Wetmore is also below the cut, and he's actually further behind, so he'll take what he needs while teammate Cannon struggles. All the while, Sam Nieto, a rival of both of theirs, takes the top spot on the board. Sam comes into the day 11 points above the cut line. He's not in a comfortable spot just yet, but he has the upper hand. And with the pole position being his, he's going to get a further leg up heading into tonight's festivities in Kansas. 134 laps on the table, our traditional intermediate length. Nieto grabs the pole, and a clutch pole position at that. Rookie Nate Campbell, who is above Nieto in points, is able to outdo him, and of course in the point standings outdo him. Just beside him on the front row in second. But with that said, some of the most familiar faces of the season have once again lined up at the top of the charts, and in the case of your front row, it's 2 drivers who are looking to turn their favorable odds into a great performance. Sam Nieto, 4th place in the championship standings, is looking to punch his ticket with the win. The journey starts up front as he qualifies on the pole position. That's the number 2 alongside the 45 of Nate Campbell. Campbell is going to start second tonight, with Don Stevenson then in third, and Cody Smith P4. Zach Schrintenel was 5th on the day. And interestingly, your 3rd quickest qualifier in the playoffs is Tom Wetmore. Wetmore able to outdo a lot of his rivals and start up in front to be the last driver in the Super 6 here in your time trials. 7th place is going to go Brant McClendon. 8th place is the man on the cut line, Ross Cato. He is in a do-or-die situation after a great run last week. To put him in this spot, he needs to do one better. Alex Kim, the rookie, 11th place. 12th is Matt Sizzler, 93, as Casey Shugo, 13th, and Jacob Fife occupies 14th in the Pro Powder and Paint Chevy Camaro. Bobby Keith just after him, that's going to be 13th. Nolan Potter, 14th, and Josh Gallagher in the 96 is then P15. 16th is Galen Gitman, and you've got a pair of playoff contenders, Nicholas Ward, who is 10th in the standings, and Nick Tarbuck, who is second and locked into the next round. The tale of 2 rounds to this point. Ward needing a win. Nick Tarbuck already has one. After that, 19th goes Brian Yazik with Brian Greenlee. Then in 20th, 21st is Aaron Eads. 22nd, John DeBarro. 23rd, Sean Kalis. 24th, Eli Cars. And P25 is Jared Davis. The final drivers in your top 30. Ethan Lane, Blake Cannon, Brad Patton, Brock Potter, and 30th and last on the lineup, Woody Mahan in the number 49. 15 completed rows, and the same as always, high crowd, top talent. Notably, Lane and Cannon starting at the back of the field today. Both of them are championship contenders in the Ignite Series, and if Cannon succeeds, he will join Lane again on Tuesday nights. At the head of the board, driver number 2, Sam Nieto, grabs the pole position from Kansas. That is your starting lineup. Now we are within 2 minutes of seeing them all roll for the first time. Take a look at Tom Wetmore here, the 51. While overall, it has been Blake Cannon carrying the banner for his Roadhouse Racing team, the veteran teammate he has in Tom Wetmore, who really leads the organization. Numbers-wise, the statistics, he's up there in the mix as well. And it looks like with qualifying going the way it did, Wetmore is going to have a better shot to drive up beforehand. Now, both Cannon and Wetmore are under the cut line. Keep that in mind. Wetmore is a little bit further behind, whereas Blake Cannon is currently 7 points under the cut. Wetmore is 16 down, so he's in a little bit of a more desperate circumstance. Qualifying in 6th, definitely going to help out. Brian Greenlee back on the way. Greenlee, a part-time driver this season. Number 38, back in full swing. Great to have him for his first race of the playoffs this season. So far, putting some solid times down, just getting it revved up. Patient of our main race here. Greenlee, number 38, starting at the tail end of the field. Then you got Nick Tarbuck, 7th, and already locked in. While he had a fantastic regular season in the Ignite Series, it looks like his hopes for a title now hinge on winning on Tuesdays. Finally getting a playoff win means that Tarbuck can rest easy with tonight in mind and maybe approach it a little bit differently strategy-wise. Interesting to see what he's going to come up with at number 4 as he slides down a pit road. That will be it. Fastest driver in second and final practice is Tom Wetmore, the number 51, with a quick time, a 30.06, and so he is the fastest with our last practices said and done. Time's up. This is it. 134 laps. From this point onward, it's the big show, and 5 drivers will go home empty-handed. This race determines which of those it will be of your 8 that vie for a playoff spot. Lane and Tarbuck have already taken theirs early. They've punched their tickets. Now, to be the last drivers on board, you've got to scrap for it. iRacing official pace car readied among the drivers who are just behind now. Ghetto and Campbell first and second. Don Stevenson, Cody Smith, and Zach Schrintenall for the top 5. Wetmore, McClendon, Cato, Alex Kim, and Matt Sisler in the 93. Top 10 as we mentioned. And a lot of strong contenders here, even if they're not championship eligible. Don Stevenson has been under the radar, and for good reason. He made the best out of our Roval race to qualify 3rd tonight and now line up just behind the cut. Don has a realistic shot of making it in, only 5 points under on Ross Cato. Cato's looking for his 2nd final round appearance in 3 years. Don for his 1st. And it would be somewhat ironic, since this is the longest Stevenson has gone in a season without a race win. He won at the Roval in 2023, won at Atlanta in the playoffs last season, and yet to this point, number 47 has been held winless throughout the entire campaign. See if that changes tonight. Hard to hold Don down. And with the race he had last week, he went from double digits outside the cut to a very real contender. Even though Ross Cato didn't struggle, it was Stevenson who flourished. Got some internet trouble, so we'll watch out for that. But in the meanwhile, the eyes are on rookie Nate Campbell, looking to finish up what has been a remarkable inaugural season, and Sam Nieto, the veteran, given one additional shot to fight for the title, and he's made good use of it. Now, starting at the head of the field for the first time tonight, we are underway. 134 laps separate 5 drivers from championship hopes and 5 from going home with nothing. Green flags out from Tornado Alley, and we are underway with Nieto at the helm. And so it begins. Sam Nieto taking the race lead, and he's got the advantage now over the rest of the pack, with Campbell and Stevenson second and third. So that top three is going to remain exactly as it was. Brant McClendon up to fourth. Watch out for McClendon. He is a driver who has things to prove in this late stage of the season, and his attitude as of late has been indicative of that. Qualifying in seventh, and now 3 spots up off the jump. Oh, Nate Campbell to pit road. I think that's a restart line violation, and even though it's the initial start of the race, the penalty still follows through. Wow, check this out. So we're bringing it back to the beginning of the race to show you why, and it looks like they were about lockstep. Perhaps Campbell was recorded as getting the edge. That was a drive-through penalty, and you can see he's on his way now. Campbell to pit road, and he'll serve a penalty, taking him from second to a lap down, but he's lucky the caution's out. For Campbell, that is miraculous, as he is now at the back of the field, but on the lead lap, and he was in jeopardy of falling way further. Here's Campbell, but watch as this incident takes place. Josh Gallagher looked to be the man involved in the 96 here, and we're going to take a look back at him. Gallagher was through the grass pretty early. Yellow flag waving a little late. So caution number 1 at lap 4. Contact with Ward, setting him down the grass. And it looks like Gallagher not able to save it as he slides through the apron and shakes up and down the track. Caution's out. Josh Gallagher in the 96, Nicholas Ward in the 97. And that is your first of the day at lap 5. Yesterday, we had a 17 caution race. It was a long one. It was at Martinsville. It was only 93 miles in length, which is considerably shorter than today. It's actually half the mileage, less than half the mileage, and it ran way longer than we would anticipate this race to. We'll see what happens, but that didn't really set a positive tone for this week of racing. It was about an hour and 24 minutes for 93 miles. For reference, that's about 66 miles an hour on average, which is highway speed in Virginia. Here in Kansas, I don't think they're going to be touching close to the speeds we are set to see today. Sam Nieto, your leader, field at a standstill. First caution of the night. Additionally, keep this in mind, playoff change for those of you who watch the Integrity Ignite series. Qualified in was Matthew Thunhorst. However, voluntarily, he has decided to relieve himself of that playoff position. He will be missing the final round, and it is Thomas Bressie making his 3rd consecutive playoff berth. Your regular season champion unable to pursue the title, and so his teammate, who is just behind him in the standings, is now going to go after it. That's on the Monday night circuit, and they will continue their title quest next week as they head on their schedule next to Las Vegas. So keep that in mind. Championship implications. Thomas Bressie is racing for an Ignite Series title. Matthew Thunhorst is done for the season. Sam Nieto and Don Stevenson positions 1 and 2. as we are set to go green for your first restart at lap number 7. Zach Strithenol and rookie Alex Kim now are going to be your second row. Great job for Alex once again. He has continued to prove that he has the stuff. Fresh off his first career podium 2 weeks ago, Kim back up at the head of the field. Didn't really do as well last week at the Roval. It didn't seem to be his forte, but nonetheless, he's strong to this point, and his consistency in not only effort but results has really turned the field on its head. Watching a brand new driver run at the pace of the veterans, Alex Kim is looking forward tonight, and he is once again firmly in contention. Lane went down to pit road. He is running in 26th. He just got himself a little bit more fuel, topped off. He is ready to go this time by. Green flags out. First restart. It's side by side. Strithenol low. Stevenson not able to match. This time around, Sam Nieto head and shoulders above everyone else. Don Stevenson, not quite. Tom Wetmore getting to the inside here, and Tom is looking for the podium. Again, in the circumstance that he is in, Tom has to get up to third, and then to second, and then to first. Race leading, race winning. That's what will punch his ticket into the next round of the playoffs. He realistically cannot afford anything lesser. Everything less is a guarantee of nothing. And that's the problem right now. If you can't guarantee it, it's unlikely to occur. 8 laps in out of 134. And as they run, Wetmore is just behind Strithenol and Nieto alike. Zach goes topside. Wetmore low. Casey Shue, 6th place here, watching as they go triple file. Alex Kim up high for a 3-wide maneuver. Furthermore, right behind, Ross Cato with Galen Gidman and the 34 Nolan Potter. Ross tonight has to go head-to-head to stay in the cut line battle. Ross right now is teetering on the edge, scored 5th in the championship. That could all change, dependent on Don Stevenson and Sam Nieto. Stevenson being just ahead right now of that Cato crew is not good, and currently it will be Don Stevenson who gets in over Cato, even though they're both in the top 10. 10 laps in out of 134. That's the way they roll early. Again, we still have stage points to give out. We still have the race to finish up. But as they run, advantage Don Stevenson, although it just diminished. And he's down to 6 with Cato coming in hot. Watching from the backside of Don Stevenson. He still has some internet trouble, so we'll watch from the front of Cato. Ross with the run. Looking to make it 3 wide in the corners 1 and 2. Stevenson jetting up on the high side right in the mix, and it looks like he is getting slowed down up there. No help, and the competition is tight. Ross Cato in the mix. Couldn't get the pass there. And how about Casey Shue? Oh, contacted is Gidman, and they're going around. Call on the field. Is no caution yet. Drivers stay green. Not anymore. Yellow flag is out with Galen Gidman. So, took a little while for the caution to fly, but look at what happened to the Gidman crew out of 4. First Matt Sisler loose. Comes up to track, contact with Gidman. Sends him sideways. And he gets knocked around. Caution's out. Everyone else able to get away, only for a second wreck just ahead. And Eli Cars rolls into that one. That one is worse. It has Don Stevenson. Oh, championship implications for the 47. Look at this. Stevenson, who was 5 down on the cut line, coming in horrible trouble. Cannon slightly gets the front end. That'll take Alex Kim and Don Stevenson down to the inside and back on up. Kim comes up the track. Chaos as Woody Mahan hits. Looks like Brock Potter also catches a piece. And that is an upside-down moment for the playoff race we've been watching. Ross Cato gets away damage-free, as does Blake Cannon. For the time being, Stevenson is going to be firmly out of leading contention. And that's going to pull the championship battle, the cut line battle, shall we say, to Ross Cato and Blake Cannon, as well as Ryan Bean, according to the numbers. That's the way they run points-wise. Bean not in the conversation, though. And so that leads you with Ross Cato and Blake Cannon as the head-to-head. And Eric McFarland asking if that wreck came from network instability. Not able to tell there. And I'm going to say that only because off the replay we saw, it looked like pretty undeniable contact. Pull it back one more time. And maybe see a little bit more of a flicker as it happened. But from what we saw, it didn't look like it was anything indecisive. That's just as it happens there, and you can see Stevenson continually flickering out. So we're going to take a look upstairs and get the eye in the sky to show you what happened. Don, hard to follow again. See, flickering back and forth. Oh, we were wrong. Look at that. What we thought was a swipe on the nose was clearly, at least on our side, not the case. Visually, it looked like contact from the TV angle, but that is a fair 10 feet left between those cars that evidently was not recorded as such. So there's the answer there. And it's good that we looked at the second time around. Thank you again, Eric, stopping by, as well as the entire FTN chat room. That second look gives us a completely different perspective on the same incident. And those network troubles, they will haunt you. That's exactly what caused that caution. Harsh, Don Stevenson, involved with Blake Cannon, and Netcode has its way with the field. That is your second yellow flag of the day. Returning green with Wetmore and Zach Schrintenall in control. Over the course of that yellow flag, all but 10 drivers went down to pit road. Brock Potter, Sam Nieto, Matt Sisler now lead those on new rubber. Ethan Lane getting up to 14th and 4th on this stint. Green flags out. Wetmore the overall leader. Tom has the advantage. 44 of Blake Cannon. Now behind him, teammates. The Roadhouse teammates have found their way. Blake starting at the back of the field. Tom, who had himself up there from 6th early on, and they are connected. This is the dream team up and ahead. Tom Wetmore needs more points to lock himself in, and so him being up in front gives the team a better chance of both making it to the next step. Wetmore again would go and eliminate effectively that battle for the 5th seed, and then goes up and becomes the fight for the 4th seed, in which case it is Sam Nieto who would be on the chopping block right now. Nieto running in 10th, and then Blake Cannon running relative to him 18 points back. So the issue is that for the Roadhouse Racing guys, admittedly, they're at each other's throat, even if they're going to help each other out. The deficit between them is too large, and the deficit between Cannon and Wetmore relative to a Sam Nieto is basically impossible to overcome without a disaster for the number 2 team. Cannon now would take that spot provisionally. Watching the numbers, because every lap they change, and you never know how it's going to end. Currently, with Cannon or Wetmore, or anyone under the cut line, shall we say, it would be Sam Nieto who is on the chopping block. That's the way it works. Cato would be moved down, as would Stevenson, as would Wetmore, as would Nicholas Ward and Ryan Bean. And Nieto would be 5th because he would be the second driver not locked in to make it. And Cannon, if he were to win, will be the 3rd driver to lock in. A win supersedes everything. If you win as a playoff driver, punch the ticket. That gets you to the next round. Not how it works in the next round, by the way. It's a all-out points race from there. You can't lock up the championship by winning a race in a 3-race stretch. But to get to this point, yes, wins are what count. Brenton in 3rd, Casey Shue in 4th, Brad Patton in 5th. Patton and the Wanted Goons crew, he's looking out for more. Brad going to be on a part-time basis to end the season. He relinquished his playoff spot to make sure that Sam Nieto would get in, knowing he wouldn't go full-time. And Brad still looking as strong as a playoff contender right now. In fact, running ahead of the very driver that replaced him. Nieto on the backside of Nate Campbell. Nolan Potter, 6th. Of the 2 Potters right now, Nolan is advantageous. Brock is back to P13. And it is John Zabaro who just got by. Battles in the top 10 are mostly calm anyway. The closest of which being Brad Patton right now and Zach Schrinthal. So with strategy in mind, the leaders right now have gone for about a 20-lap run. Ethan Lane, Sam Nieto and company are on about an 8-lap stint. So they're halfway through relative to the leaders up and ahead of them. So there's a difference about 10 laps to work with throughout the rest of the night. Every lap coming in is a 1.5 miles. So looking at what we're expecting to see, drivers can comfortably go up to 60 laps on a stint. Which means that for the drivers who went down to pit road early on, they could go for the rest of this race as a one-stopper if they see fit. They got that first pit stop out of the way, shaved off the rough part of the strategy call. And by going in at lap 14, that leaves them with just about 120 laps to... Oh, Casey Shue! Shue down to the inside, shot around, spun. Nobody else is there, but the caution will fly. I think we see trouble behind, and we'll get a better look. 3rd of the day for Casey Shue. From upstairs, here's the number 5. As Casey got off the corner, sliding out of proportion, and he was outright alone there. Eli Cars and company coming through, and smoke billows as the 82 makes it by. Yes, one more involved, and it looks like that was Matt Sizzler. Sizzler in the number 93. Also, take a look. So Casey Shue getting tagged and spun. Sizzler. Oh, Mahan. Wow, Woody Mahan overcorrects, goes up the track. And the 88 of Aaron Eads also ricochets up. But Mahan with the worst of it. Watch this. And we'll try to get a look on board with the number 49 to see what happened there. It looks like he just completely lost control. Loose and overcorrected. Simple driver error there. The motor is blown. The race is done for the 49 team. Woody Mahan, Matt Sizzler, Casey Shue, and briefly Aaron Eads, all involved and collected. All the while, Blake Cannon, Galen Gidman, Zach Schrinthal, Brad Patton, Sam Nieto, Nate Campbell, and company thereon after all come out of pit road. That sees a group of 3, Nick Tarbuck, Ross Cato, and Sean Kalist as your leading drivers. Coming to 1 lap to green this time by. Tarbuck, Cato, Cannon, K-List, 1, 2, 3, 4 as they roll. And they're set to head at it again. For Nick, no worries as to what happens tonight. Ross Cato has to outperform tonight anyway. Stevenson, Cannon, Bean, Wetmore, and Ward for a fact. Now, as it stands, the big troubles have been for Don Stevenson. He's already retired. That will end his campaign. Ryan Bean, he's also out of this race. So it's Wetmore, Ward, and Cannon to look out for. One of those drivers is now right behind him. Green flag's out. Nick Tarbuck gets the shot in the arm. He'll lead it and get back to business all over again. Blake Cannon rockets out for second. He's going to get ahead of Cannon, so of course that's going to be Tarbuck ahead of Cannon, Cannon ahead of Cato. K-List a little bit loose now, and he will slow down everyone. Ethan Lane has to hit the gas pedal all through 3 and 4, and Sean slides to pit road and slides out of it. Old tires. It looks like even for Sean, it's not going to work out. That gamble is a 50-50 play. And luckily, Sean didn't get anyone involved, so props to him for hanging on to what he could. But it isn't going to be a winning call there. All the while, it's going to be Blake Cannon getting by Nick Tarbuck. And holding out on old tires seems to be an abject failure. Ross Cato is now going to be down in a 4th place. Podium gets by. Nick Tarbuck lost the lead. It is Cannon advantageous. That could have been a lot worse, but for Ethan Lane, I'm sure he's not punching the dash, he's locked in. But at the same time, he's looking for win after win after win. The only driver with double-digit wins and a total now of 18 across the Ignite and Octane Series. He's looking to keep breaking records. If he wins tonight, he has a chance to match his season total from 14 last year. But it hangs in the balance of winning every race from here to the end. It's not an easy thing to do. But if anyone can, well, we've seen what he's done in the last 2 weeks on Mondays. It still could be the case. Looking behind, Nick Tarbuck going again for the race lead. And Blake Cannon is just going to take it in the middle here. Not a lot of aggressive defense. Ross Cato watches in 5th. And he's got a great seat here, but I'm sure he's not particularly happy that he's got to watch and try to hold on with 13-lap older tires while his biggest rival is just ahead. Blake Cannon to the points, just getting by Nick Tarbuck. Nate Campbell also sweeping into this one. Nate is ahead of the cut line and doesn't have to concern himself with those particularities as long as he just has a good race. A top 10 would be expected to lock him in automatically, no matter who is in the top 10 and who is ahead. Nate Campbell has that much of a buffer right now. Great rookie season. That's what it's been. Campbell, he's come alive once again a little bit later than he would like to. He struggled profusely in the round of 15. It was outright the worst he was looking in a long while. And luckily, he's been able to turn the page and turn the tide on that performance because he really didn't look like he had the stuff to continue on. But the last 2 races have been a reflection of the exact opposite. Campbell, Schrintenal, Sam Nieto. There it's the 5-4-3 up the scale combination. Watching still as Tarbuck and Cannon stay ahead. Ross has fallen back to 6th, and it looks like he might be pressured to drop to 7th. Nick Tarbuck P2, and even though he still has the oldest rubber of the podium, he is not on the bottom step of it. Take a ride on board right now, and briefly perhaps with Sam Nieto in the number 2 as he looks for another placement. Again, Nieto in a winner-go-home circumstance. Fifth gear all the way around. Some drivers have been choosing the shift gears. Nieto, it looks like not one of which, particularly there through 1 and 2 as you watch. Nick Tarbuck 4/10 back now on Cannon. And if Roadhouse Racing is going to make it in, it really does look like it's going to be one way or the other. One driver or another at the very least. Tom Wetmore 9th here. Wetmore again is 16 points back on where Don Stevenson runs, 18 back on the cut line, and it looks like with that in mind, he would need a disaster from everyone except Cannon to make it through. Now, keep in mind, if you look at those numbers, actually, it's not the worst situation for Wetmore, and we can break it down how it's not the case. Wetmore is behind Ryan Bean, who's not racing, Blake Cannon, his teammate, Don Stevenson, who's out of this race, and then Ross Cato. The big problem is Ross Cato. That's the big issue. Stevenson and Bean out the window. Cannon, if he wins it, is his teammate. That's not a big problem. But the issue is Don Stevenson is out of this one. So it comes down to Cato and then Sam Nieto. Nieto being in 4th and being comfortably there is a bad thing for the Roadhouse crew because you can knock one down and you could, in theory, knock Ross Cato down the peg, but doing it to Nieto and Ross Cato is a significantly harder job by a long shot. Just comes down to right now trying to make the most out of the last race. A victory is self-healing, or of course, not a self-sacrifice. It's the exact opposite. You put yourself out there and you win, but when you got teammates around you, it's like what happened last night with Matthew Thunhorst and Thomas Bressi. Only one of them could punch the ticket in, and although Thunhorst is unavailable to go the distance, of course, it just comes down to whether or not you've got the stuff consistently. So here now, Cannon, who's been a little bit more consistent through this round, is set to benefit and put himself in a better spot to go out there. Casey Shue side by side with Brock Potter. Shue was having a pretty good run until he slid out of line. Lucky for him, the only problem that he had on account of that was the damage in the worn out tire that he possessed. And the big problem for that is, of course, losing track position. But Shue has put together a string of impressive runs, largely in the Ignite Series, that show he definitely has the stuff to be a competitive driver on a more regular basis. The Octane Series maybe hasn't treated him as kindly, I would say, but I think that could change. A little bit more time and consistency put in. AC was definitely up there in the single digits and on his own accord until sliding out of line just beforehand. Brad Patton getting up into the mix with Nicholas Ward now fade out of frame. Nick Tarbuck, though, you see him right there. Ward is in 14th with Jared Davis. Tarbuck having the better race of those two. He's in P3. On the verge of what could be 2 consecutive podiums, he finished 3rd last night. Here comes to the inside, Brad Patton for that 3rd spot. .42 laps in out of 134. A reminder, halfway marker coming in at about lap number 68. So, if we stay under green, we might see a pit stop cycle between lap 70 and lap 80. With the potential to maximize it to go into the mid-80s and maybe touch lap 90. It would be unlikely, and it would be admittedly rather difficult to do it. I don't think it's the preferable thing to do, but a driver in this case could stretch you to the 90s. It would be it would be horribly difficult. Here's how. Blake Cannon right now is on an 18-lap run. We're at lap number 44. You look at lap 90 minus 44, we're about 46 laps away. With that said, that's 64 laps. You can do that, but the fuel cell is unforgiving. Side by side, Ethan Lane and Ross Cato, by the way. 64 laps. With a mile and a half each lap, that's 96 miles you have to go. Our estimates typically come in at saying that these drivers can go 90 miles comfortably on a run. 90 to 96 doesn't sound like a big deal. It might not be in some cases, but when you're teetering on the edge of making it that distance and pushing at speed, that's quite a distance. That's 6 extra miles you have to deal with, and that's the equivalent to 4 extra laps of track. Oh, we just explained it. That's 4 laps above 60. So there you have it. It's that cycle of understanding you got to go more distance, and to go more distance, you need more fuel. To possess more fuel, you can go more distance. But do you really want to stretch it that hard? I don't know. That's the big problem. Blake Cannon in the 44, heading down the back straightaway again. I highly doubt he'll go up. Nate Campbell in third, Nick Tarbuck fourth, Zach Shrinton P5, and John DeBarro in sixth. Here comes Tom Wetmore and Ethan Lane. And this group, well, it's coming in different shape now because Ethan Lane is finally getting his chance. Some 45 laps, they kept him down, but you cannot ever keep Ethan Lane down fully. And I think that's something that this field has learned time and time again. They've done a good job of keeping him away from the spotlight tonight. And you can see here that he's finally making that wave. John DeBarro in the 6th position. Getting up there with Zach Shrintenal. It's going to be single file and company as they make it around. 48 out of 134. Nicholas Ward to pit row with some right side damage. And this looks to be more than marginal. So what's going on now for the 97? And is this new damage? We're going to take a look back and find out. Oh, yes. Grinding up to the outside wall. Trouble for Ward. Watch this. Here's Zach Shrintenal. Look further behind. Nicholas Ward through 1 and 2. Exit of the corner. Loose. Caught it. That's horrible for his championship chances. Again, he comes in 10th in points tonight. And that's damage that's going to take the better part of a lap to fix. Under green. Loses a lap. And he is out of leading contention for the foreseeable future. Race is not over for him. Can change and all can be improved. But right now, Ward is in a very bad spot. John DeBarro on his backside is Zach Shrinten. Here comes Ethan Lane. Boxed out maybe by the number 6. Shrinten tries. Lays low. Ethan Lane will give in there. You see him back off, and he does so rather abruptly as the back end of the number 6 team falls out of favor. Now Ethan's going to take it to the outside. Does he have enough speed to pull that run? Rarely does he get the job done. Situation like this, or any driver rather, but Ethan Lane surges high, and it looks like he will get the better of Shrintenal. That's for 6th. Just 1 spot off the top 5. .51 laps through. Nate Campbell in the 4th position. Looks like the rookie has been able to hang tight to that. A playoff spoiler in Patton, a locked-in driver in Nick Tarbuck, and the leader in Blake Cannon now looking to shift up the entire structure. Sam Nieto right now is in a comfortable spot, but even as Ross Cato has the edge for what would be the 5th position, nothing matters if Cannon wins. Basically. Because Nieto's ahead of him. If Nieto outfinishes Ross Cato would be bumped in the case of a new winner. Automatically. Doesn't matter how else it plays out. For Ross to make it in with a new winner, Sam Nieto would have to basically retire from this race or fall at least one lap down. So he would be outside the top 20, while Cato would be in the top 10. That's what would be required of the 12 team if Nieto is to stay racing and Cannon ends up winning. So for Ross right now, he is sitting as the first man out of the cut line. All dependent on whether or not Cannon is able to maintain this lead in this race. Lane and John DeBarro 5th and 6th, Zach Trenton on 7th, Tom Wetmore 8th, Sam Nieto 9th, Ross Cato rounds out the top 10. You got Jacob Fife now, the first driver outside of that top 10 picture, 4 tenths behind it as it stands. And if Ross Cato falls out of the top 10, say for instance Jacob Fife gets there, well, it's going to be very bad news for the 12 team. But at the same time, less than halfway in, that bad news can be changed up. Jacob today in the 36, nothing else to run for except for a win. Tonight, qualifying in 12th, he is up 1 on the day. To move on to the next stop in the top 10 will be to gain his second spot on the night. Let's see if he can get there. There's Tom Wetmore. Wetmore is now scored in 8th. Got Nieto and Cato just with him. Zach Trentinel has a multi-car battle now brewing right behind him. And it's got Nieto and Ross Cato going at it. Again, both of them in big spots playoffs-wise, but they're not really each other's big competitors. Watch from behind with the number 20 team. Only Wetmore able to stay with Trentinel as you watch for that lap. Nieto now there with Fife and Ross Cato. Watch what happens here with Jacob as he trails the 12 of the number 2 alike. Ross to the inside. Sam Nieto getting into the middle. Middle of 3, not quite, but it will be side by side again between the 2 and the 12. Jacob Fife now watching even closer with a lapper and Matt Sizzler involved. Matt will take a middle 3. Spread high, middle, and low with the 93 getting out of the way. And for the first time tonight, we are encountering lap traffic under green. Ross gets by. Jacob as well. He will get the better of Sam Nieto and enter the top 10. John DeBarro with Ethan Lane. Well, not for long. That's Ethan Lane for 5th. Ethan has made quick work of almost every driver today. Coming up on the lapper and Alex Kim now and is deciding to use the 3rd groove. Kansas is not particularly well known as a multi-groove racetrack. I'm not surprised to see Ethan Lane go up and down, but at the same time, very few drivers have followed in his footsteps. The 2nd groove has been in use tonight by force. When you go side by side, you can't stick both cars on the bottom. But Lane through 1 and 2 that time made it clear he wanted the high side. Watch again with the 6. And now Nick Tarbuck goes up there, as does Patton and Campbell. And you're starting to see a little bit of a resurgence to that upper groove relative to everyone else. Side by side, Wetmore and Schrintenel for 7th. Just below the line. I think Wetmore got him across the stripe by maybe 1,000th of a second. According to timing and scoring, just 1,000th of a second. Wow, that was toe-to-toe. So it was exactly as we said it was, but it was really too close to call. It's Tom Wetmore, 1/1,000th of a second ahead of Schrintenel at the line. Now, if that was for the finishing spot, well, it would have been much different. Of course, that time around, relatively insignificant lap for what is, by all accounts, a relatively insignificant spot for Wetmore. It's gold or nothing, while his teammate holds down the fort for Roadhouse. This would be the Roadhouse Racing team's second win in 4 races in the Octane Series. Tom Wetmore bringing home that triumphant Richmond win earlier in the month, and then Blake Cannon with the opportunity to do it again. Blake wins tonight, would be locked into both the Ignite and Octane Series championship, and he would accompany only Ethan Lane with that honor. Which means that 2 of your 5 drivers in both championship hunts are battling for 2 titles. Now, I gotta say, I think the championship favorite is the same guy across both series. It's Ethan Lane. Not to say that he's gonna win both titles. I honestly am more surprised that will happen, or I would be more surprised if that happened. But by all accounts, number 66 lap marker, we've just hit it. Ethan Lane, 6th spot here in the number 6. He's comfortable, and the next round will be his for the taking. Wetmore now watching. Lane did get up to a high of 5th, and it looks like while he's still steadily in the top 10, he actually fell back from his highest spot of the day here. Here comes Wetmore ducking low. Wetmore's got the spot. So now, 6 of Lane rides just beside him. Jared Davis has gotten up in the top 10 too. Davis has had a very quiet race. He's another championship contender in the Ignite Series, but he doesn't have the same opportunity here on Tuesday night. So he's just going out here with victory on the mind. This is our halfway lap, 68 laps in out of 134. And as we run, it looks like the pit stop cycle has just started. So begin to look out for when drivers decide to go in. Those calls are being made. Coming to lap number 69, halfway down, halfway to go. Blake Cannon is your leader at the midway point with some critical playoff points if he falls outside of the leading spot. Thank you to Jeff Chandler Racing for joining FTN as a member of the channel, something we haven't mentioned so far tonight and for some of this season, but we'd like to mention it again. If you enjoy our content live on FTN Broadcasting and you want to contribute to the cost of producing these events, including our overlay technology and the, of course, equipment we use behind the scenes, joining FTN Broadcasting as a channel member is perhaps the best way to do so. You directly contribute. You don't have to go through another website to do so. That's tedious. That's very annoying. Doing it directly through YouTube helps you, and it helps the channel immensely. We couldn't be more thankful for our thousands of subscribers on this channel, but additionally to our members, including Jeff Chandler joining tonight. Thank you sincerely. Your support goes a long distance, and we can't wait to bring you on for the rest of the racing year and beyond. Again, FTM memberships start as low as $2.99 a month, and of course, they've got some bonus perks, including some behind-the-scenes content if you like. We love sharing what's going on with the fans, and we have more content planned through the end of the year. Our racing season is coming to a close. Our baseball season, you might have noticed, began last night. We're back in business when it comes to that again. I have to thank our guy Andrew Schulte for bringing it together on FTN. Doesn't matter what type of content you enjoy, we have you covered. So check out FTN Broadcasting's membership page on our home feed on our channel. Thank you again for tuning in, and thank you to our 3,000 plus subscribers who have joined us on this journey. 63 laps to go. The best is yet to come in this race. Halfway, we've hit it,
Now the strategy calls are being made. Look at the right side of your timing ticker. That is the number in focus right now. Last pit lap for these drivers, some of which lap 24, lap 25, others lap 14, lap 15. Either way, these drivers all have to eventually go down a pit road, and this is the sweet spot for them to hit it. Expecting someone like Blake Cannon within the next 10 laps at the absolute most. Jacob Fife in the number 36 here. Gets himself on the way. See him. As it stands, the Fife team running 17th. Currently going to be one lap down, and he went down to pit road at lap number 25. So he still hasn't had the best of nights in that regard. He's got a lot more work to do. We are waiting on the next group of drivers to officially go in. Galen Gidman, Nolan Potter in the 34, some of the first to signal. And here comes Nolan, the number 34 Toyota Camry, drops to the inside. And you'll have Brant McClendon, Alex Kim with damage right there. But an early goer as well as Ethan Lane. Lane takes it down to the bottom of the racetrack and brings Ross Cato. So with 60 laps to go, this is the magic number for safety, a 60-lap stint. And so it makes sense that Lane would come in, as would the number 12 of Cato, as would Zach Schrintenol. This is familiar company, and better yet, they're coming in at the right time. I will say this, though. The later you go, the safer you are. Coming in with 60 remaining is the right time, but is there a righter time in going later? The undercut by Lane, everyone reacts and follows. First and foremost, Nate Campbell and Nick Tarbuck one lap later. As Lane comes out, Nick and Nate come in. See there, Ethan Lane is leaving as Campbell enters. So that's just about a lap's worth of distance between them exactly. Lane having a solid pit stop with that as your benchmark. Good to see. Blake Cannon coming in now with Brad Patton. They're coming in for the race lead. That gives Wetmore the top spot. Oh, that's going to be Brock Potter. Cautions out. And the 14 misses pit road in dramatic fashion. Here's Ethan Lane leaving. And Potter looking to enter. Has a problem midway through your cycle. This is going to throw a wrench in the equation fully. Yeah, he hit the transition and went up and down. Luckily, nobody was around. But that is still a safety yellow. Caution is out. Unfortunate for Potter. And the field now is in a really tricky position. Maybe not tricky for Tom Wetmore, though. Keeping in mind, he stays on the lead lap. And only 11 drivers are on the lead lap right now. Actually, 9 drivers now, as everyone went past the start-finish line. Wetmore is basically going to get a free pit stop. And his teammate Cannon, that might be the only negative part of it, he's now a lap down. But everyone else is also a lap down. So Wetmore is on his own island, where his biggest competition to win it are Jared Davis, not a championship contender, Sam Nieto, who would make it in no matter whether or not Wetmore makes it in, John DeBarro, Casey Shue, Brock Potter, Brian Greenlee, Josh Gallagher, and Jacob Fife. Now Potter's on the lead lap. Patton, rather. Brad Patton might actually be the biggest threat. Victory based on the numbers. Here comes Tom Wetmore in for a free pit stop. And he will lead the lead lappers in. Consequence of cutting that flag cycle short is going to ring through the rest of this race. And you just saw a 180. Wetmore had circumstances aligned basically perfectly in Richmond. His teammate Cannon around him. And I think he just saw the stars align again. Four tires and fuel as we'll watch them roll off. Wetmore beats Nieto, Davis, Casey Shue, and Brock Potter. Easy come, easy go for the 51. As it will be Patton who takes the race lead. Again, he's going to get up as a lucky dog and not take a pit stop because he went down 2 laps prior. Nonetheless, older rubber, Wetmore only loses 1 spot after gaining more than 10. I think that is the easiest bargain you could take all race long. Very few drivers get into circumstances like this with repetitions. Richmond and now Luck in Kansas lead Wetmore to the front of the field, perhaps as the favorite to win it in this case. Wrapped one down include Lane, Campbell, Tarbuck, and a little bit further back, you got guys like Potter. Blake Cannon does get back on the lead lap, by the way, so the Roadhouse teammates are together again. Really a fully beneficial cycle. Those guys. One of them leads on the way in. Another leads on the way out. Tom Wetmore is your top driver at the head of the pack. Wetmore will lead with 54 laps remaining. Brad Patton will get into business this time by as the control car. There goes Nolan Potter. While Brock is on the lead lap, Nolan not quite. 1 additional lap. Caution will bring us to 53 laps remaining. Double foul again. Ross and Sean Kalist alongside each other. Cato, not in the worst of spots to be in 11th place here, but again, in jeopardy if Wetmore or Cannon wins. If not, however, it would be huge for Ross Cato where he is right now. Brad Patton, Sam Nieto, or Jared Davis were able to take hold and really win this one. Cato would be in an amazing position ahead of all of his rivals, and he would not have to worry a bit. Very unlikely that remains the same, of course. Cato's going to have to fight for himself if he wants to get back at it. "53 laps remaining from here. The biggest pit stop cycle of the night has a complete 180, and it is Brad Patton underway, side by side. Sam Nieto, Tom Wetmore. Here we go, back in business with Davis also in the top 5. And how about Casey Shue? Shue is also in the mix, and he runs 5th. Now it's going to be all about Brad Patton as he gets it up and ahead. Tom Wetmore drops back to 3rd, and with Patton leading, here is how they run championship-wise. It'll then be 5th place going to Ross Cato, so he would make it in. Sam contact and a caution. Yellow flags out. It's Galen Gidman among those involved with Aaron Eads, it appears. Here you go. Begins with Gallagher. Gallagher hits Galen Gidman, sends him up the track, and Aaron might have actually avoided contact. Either that or it was just a nudge. One more time. You're on board with the number 88. And if that wasn't minor contact, that was inch-to-inch wreck avoidance. Wow. Yeah. Aaron Eads gets away from that one without a scratch on the car. And just barely. Galen Giddon, however, not quite. Yellow flag flies again. Brad Patton leads as the caution is out. And for those of you tuned in right now live on FTN, thank you for stopping by, sticking with us. The racing to the finish is going to be even more exciting. But in the meanwhile, we'll take a brief step back and thank some of our partners and associates that have made tonight possible. Of course, we couldn't do without their continued support. So we're going to take a little bit of time, go FTN non-stop. You won't miss a thing. On the right side of your screen will be Leader Patton, and on the left, some messages from the people who make FTN possible. We'll return right after this. Thank you for tuning in live on FTN. We'll return with less than 50 laps to go from Tornado Alley.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
.48 laps remain. It begins with Patton and Sam Nieto on the inside and outside. Sam Nieto would be able to punch his ticket in and take himself from 4th up to 3rd in the standings by locking in, or he could just maintain himself on the outside front row, finish there, and he would be locked for 4th. Tom wins, of course. He would still be the upset, going from outside the cut line from low to above, and that would send Ross Cato out of the mix. Cato currently resides on the cut, finds himself less than 10 points ahead of a rival who now runs right next to him in Blake Cannon. He is 7 points up on Cannon. Those two will be going toe-to-toe if Wetmore cannot go at it and take a spot for himself. If he does, it's all Nieto to finish the job. Green flag's out. Brad Patton back in business. And Blake Cannon quickly, 1, 2, 3 wide. He'll make the pass and he'll get right there. That's going to move Cannon up to 7th. Oh, contact! Brian Greenlee, and the field sees trouble again. Nick Tarbuck also around, caution's out. Watch this. It begins with Greenlee, who is running the highest he's been all night long, in 10th. Contact just off the wall. Let's send him to the inside. And then take a look again with a focus on the 4 and Nick Tarbuck. And a little bit of a wider frame here. 4 wide briefly, then 3. Staying 3, Greenlee. Loose, checked up. Quarter panel from Shrintenol gets into Nick Tarbuck. And for Ross Cato, no luck as he gets squeezed in. Championship implications again for the number 12 team as he finds damage, and so does Nolan Potter. Yellow flags out. Ross Cato with the most damage he's gotten all race in any one incident. Luckily for him, there's so few on the lead lap, but that is still something that's going to alter the race. Blake Cannon, in the meanwhile, runs in 7th. .46 laps to go. Cannon would have to significantly outperform Ross Cato from here. And it could happen. Cato now to pit road. So with the bonus points that Blake Cannon was able to get at the halfway point of it, I think the gap is now down from 7 to around, and this depends on bonus points and who gets what, 4 or 5 points. So 4 or 5 positions are what you're looking at as the margin. Right now, Cannon has the edge over Cato. Cato's not going to be losing positions so quickly, just how far behind everyone else is. Blake might have a brief leg up now, but it very well could not last until the checkered flag. All circumstantially dependent. Coming to lap number 90 with Brad Patton now leading for his 3rd restart. 2 short ones in quick succession after our green flag cycle got interrupted. This race has once again become more about the cautions back-to-back, much as it was to start. One to green again. 14 are now scored on the lead lap. The last of which, last time by, was Brian Greenlee. That has changed, and so it'll be 13th and last on the lead lap now, Ross Cato. Cato able to bust some of that out, get back up to pace as he assembles with the rest of the field here. Wetmore back on the outside of the front row. Yetto now lies in 3rd. Casey Shue would be the upset of upsets. I mean, it doesn't really matter who you are. I think it would be a shock to see the 5 team go out there and win it. He has not been particularly close on Tuesday nights. He's had 2 top 5 finishes. The Ignite Series. He did that in back-to-back races. Career best finish is 4th at Portland. The Octane Series has not fared as well, but tonight he's been able to defy his own expectations and get past Rex to stay back in business with 44 laps remaining. Green flag's out. Brad Patton all the way. Outside is Wetmore. Here we go again with 13 on the lead lap. Don DeBarro, number 61, sees Wetmore slide. Contact. Both Roadhouse drivers collect each other. The teammates wreck again. Unbelievable. The path to a final 5 spot just got a lot clearer for Ross Cato after his own troubles. If he had trouble, that was a disaster. Play it back from the start one more time here. I cannot believe that happened. That is the biggest mistake of the entire season, I would say. Any one championship contender, and for all intents and purposes, that could have just knocked out 2. Wetmore was on the outside. Did he get brushed by Casey Shue? Maybe he did. Maybe that's what set it off. And it looked like Wetmore might have been able to save it, but he hits DeBarro awkwardly and runs up in a cannon. That slams Cannon to the back of the wall. DeBarro slides. Brock Potter's there too. Maybe Blake gets away from it. Not. Oh, and he goes down low. No avoiding. Kalis T-boning him. Nolan Potter, Galen Gidman also involved. Harsh hits Campbell and Brian Greenlee and Nick Tarbuck also collect damage. That is a 7-car wreck. Unbelievable. Teammates, no less, get involved. And did it begin with a brush? Nope. Wetmore just got loose, and it got nasty right after that. So the 44 of Cannon, the 51 of Cannon, of course, his teammate, and Tom Wetmore. Both have to come down to pit road, as does John Zabarro with the blown motor. And Cannon's motor blew. So it looks like slim to none chance that Cannon can continue after the harsh hit from Galen Gidman, who had nowhere to go. Wetmore is on pit road. Conceivably, Tom can keep going. It doesn't look like the motor is killed, and somehow he got the worst end to begin with, but not the worst end to finish it. Tom got there to pit road, and he is under his own power, still running in 11th after that. But I think Cannon's done. So Blake will he'll have to settle and only compete for the Monday Night Championship. And the seas are parting for Ross Cato. Not by virtue of avoiding the wreck, shall we say, and that we keep that clear, but just because those two wrecked, his only real competition to go out there and take his 5th spot from him, both gone. Not gone, maybe. Tom Wetmore can come back. But regardless, only other driver who is in the same stratosphere as Ross Cato now, time being, would be Tom Wetmore. Nicholas Ward is out of this one. Stevenson's out. Ryan Bean did not start. It's Cannon or Wetmore against Cato, and Cannon just lost his motor. 40 laps to go. It's a one-on-one for the final playoff spot. Looks like Rex will determine who makes it in. Roadhouse Racing, among others, involved in that most recent caution. That was your biggest of the night. Here we go again, 40 laps to go. Patton leads his 4th consecutive, and we're racing once more. Casey Shue breaks out into 2nd place. Unbelievable. The highest spot he's been in all night long. Here comes the 5, and who's to say he can't get it done? He's in the mix and fighting for it. Casey Shue is going for gold. Side by side with him now, Sam Nieto. Toe to toe, right alongside each other. Jared Davis, Ethan Lane, Ross Cato, now in the top 5 fight. If Cato gets into that top 5, even though Tom is in 10th here, it looks like game, set, match. Ross Cato is on the verge of what could be his 2nd Final 5 berth. It looks like game, set, match. Don't say for a fact it is. It's not for a fact. Again, if there's a wreck, there's something that happens at 12 car, it could be very easily his race done. Wetmore, with a miraculous recovery, is in 10th place. Now, he's not at all going to be competitive speed-wise, as you can see. He's very far back in that respect. But he's racing. He's on the lead lap. That is a huge deal. And better yet, he's in the top 10. He's not, by technicality anyway, behind Ross Cato by a far amount. Ooh, 3 wide. Cato nearly get caught up by Jacob Fife there. And for Cato to do this winlessly this season, even more difficult than what it was in 2023. His back was against the wall to make it to the Final 5 last time around. He had to win, so he did in Martinsville. It was not easy in the slightest, but he made it to that championship finale and ended up finishing 2nd in points. Now, oh, big block, Nolan Potter. He's got to watch his step. Maybe he's going to be driving on eggshells from here because he has a positional gap to Tom Wetmore, and nobody else around him can take away his spot. Brad Patton going out there just looking for a win to get one, And Sam Nieto, a win for him. While it wouldn't change his championship position, he would make it in regardless of which. It would be a big momentum boost. And to come into that final round with a win and the wind in your sails, that's huge. Ethan Lane able to do so in the Integrity Ignite Series, and not only has he been able to do so, but he's won the last 2 consecutive races. One of which he got the job done as, of course, Daytona, in a plate race, in an unexpected circumstance. Last night, a little bit different. Martinsville, a completely different race. Nevertheless, the strength of that number 6 team, Lane, has been universal. So he's locked in. That's not even a conversation any longer. And then, of course, you have Nick Tarbuck, who was able to make his way in with the win beforehand. So we'll see what happens here. Locked in are 2. Sam Nieto could be the 3rd to punch his ticket and get another victory. But I don't think that's going to be the biggest concern for him right now, even if he has the pace to go for it. Three-tenths back, Ross Cato on Nolan Potter. That is for 8th spot. Looks like it's going to be Potter just hanging on as a lapper. Tom Wetmore is not necessarily far behind at all, 2 positions back on Ross Cato. The only issue is that with the amount of drivers on the lead lap, Tom would have to win this one to get a jump on Ross. Ross Cato still maintaining in the lead pack. That doesn't look to be a likelihood or even admittedly a possibility in this situation. Patton, Nieto, Davis, 1, 2, 3 as they run. Ethan Lane in 4th. Lane hasn't really been a winning contender so far today, although he has been firmly inside the top 5. And that's very rare for Ethan Lane. We thought maybe in those first 50 laps where they really kept him down and out of it, coming from the back of the field, that he would eventually get up to the lead, but it looks like so far he's only gotten sparing opportunities to really dig in. 4th is about as high as he's run all night long, and he has not been a showstopper inside the podium. And perhaps that's been intentionally, to stay out of the trouble and harm's way of up in front. He's got one last chance to change that, and it's beginning now to the inside on Jared Davis. Here comes Lane, and he will take it into 3rd. Jacob Fife buckles down low. Sam Nieto in 2nd here. Still hasn't been able to get up to Brad Patton, and it looks like that is going to be a far cry for anyone right now. Patton has gotten away, and he has checked out. Goes to show, he was going out there and trying to win the championship. He absolutely would have the pace to do it. Coming back, returning in the form that he has, he is a winning driver. He's done it this season, and he is proving it time and time again. 29 laps remaining. 11 on the lead lap. Battle for the lappers. It's a race right now between Nick Tarbuck, and it is a race, mind you. It's competitive. Nick Tarbuck and Nolan Potter. Nick right now is a good 10.5 ahead of the 34 team. Potter has not yet been able to match nor best Nick. Looks like instead he has stayed behind. 2 drivers, of course, waiting for what could be their miracle in the form of a lucky dog circumstance, in which case Nick Tarbuck would be elevated back to the lead lap. Very likely be able to catch up and get a spot ahead of someone like Tom Wetmore or Josh Gallagher, who are running with severely damaged equipment. Or even Zach Schrindenall. Zach is 9 seconds back on the leading group. He just happens to be 2 seconds up on where Tom is, and where, of course, your 11th place driver, Josh Gallagher, is. Side by side, Davis and Jacob Fife. This one for P5. And with Casey Shue in the mix, it could be a 3-way battle to enter the top 5. Casey behind Jared. Got Jacob ahead of the 19. And here they go. Sim Motion Chevrolet lies upstairs. Jared Davis getting to the inside himself. Casey Shue still the onlooker. Interesting piece of this one, of course, is that Casey Shue right now runs outside of the top 5. He started this one just ahead in the restart zone. High as second today, Casey. Something blows up here ahead of him, he could very well at least gain that top 5. That would be his best career Octane Series finish. And a 5th place run would be only one spot under his best all-time Integrity finish in 4th. 25 to go this time by. Perhaps Sam Nieto and Ethan Lane are set to become a battle. This is the closest now the number 6 has been to the catbird seat under green flag conditions. 25 laps to go. And Brad Patton continue to check out. Now I'm wondering, Ethan Lane has the stuff to continue on and chase after Patton. That time by, Ethan was 1/10 of a second quicker than your leading man. And at that pace, Lane would have enough time to catch before the 10 lap to go marker. Still got to get by Sam Nieto as the opening hurdle of this fight. But of course, at the rate he's moving, Lane's got time for both. 23 laps to go this time by, and we'd like to thank our friends and associates at Whiplash SimCams for tonight's camera angles all throughout tonight's coverage. Cars and tracks alike, Whiplash has you covered at a fraction of the competitors' prices. $5 per car and track package, and it doesn't matter if you cover NASCAR-style racing, open wheels, endurance, dirt, whatever there is a solution for you. So check out Whiplash SimCams on their social media platforms. Sign up to their Discord server for free trial packages. And with 22 laps to go, we'll crank it up for the final time in the round of 10 here from Tornado Alley. 16 laps remaining. Sam Nieto, Brad Patton, Ethan Lane. That's your podium, but not in that order because it is still Brad Patton far and away ahead of the rest of the field. And he has yet to give in. Moreover, Ethan Lane looked to have the pace to maybe go out there and take the race lead. In the next coming laps, he has plateaued and finds himself now actually a little bit slower than Sam Nieto as well. So, as they run, the championship standings go as follows. Ethan Lane locked in automatically. That is not a concern. Nick Tarbuck additionally locked in as your second seed. Sam Nieto will be your fourth man. Ross Cato is currently your fifth. And in the middle of that equation, you've got the rookie. That's Nate Campbell, the number 45. He's also right up there. He's going to be seed number 3. So the way they came in is the way they run. No changes nor exceptions right now. The only difference would be if Tom Wetmore hung on and Ross Cato retired. Ross were to retire within the next 10 laps. Tom Wetmore would still have a chance. That's what it comes down to. 18-point gap between drivers. And as it stands, the lowest that Ross could fall to is 19th. Or rather, P18, as John DeBarro is 19th. But that's highly unlikely. And with each passing lap, it becomes less likely or so. It's been a race of fundamentals for Brad Patton, a driver who prides himself on lacking the convenience of qualifying. Did that again today, qualifying in 20. Didn't actually do it. He didn't even take a lap time, and yet he's up here and he has the pace to win. He is a race pace legend in this field, even as he consistently neglects qualifying. And now that he is not running championship-wise, of course, he can do whatever he wants, and there's no implications of losing out. 12 laps to go. Jared Davis with Nate Campbell here. No implications in this run. They can stay as is and nothing would change. That's basically the trend of the lead lap right now. They can stay where they are. Nothing would change. That's not a great mentality to have while racing, and Ross Cato's going to show it. Watch now as he tries to get back to Jacob Fife. Get back in business with the number 12. Fife now runs in 6th, Cato in 7th, Casey Shue P8 as they roll. But he's far out of this one, and as is Jared Davis far ahead. It's now these two in their own world, the 36 and the 12, with 10 laps remaining. Ross gets to the inside, trying to sneak that spot in. Looks like now he has a chance. 12th place Nick Tarbuck has not been running too hard, and he's now 1 lap down and firmly so. But he's been running solidly enough to be cycled in between with the leaders. Again, no prospects of him winning this one just based on circumstance, and so he's been having to wait it out while the rest of the field goes at it to finish the job. Cato, still behind Jacob Fife, could not make the pass. About a 10th and a half here with Nate Campbell. This is going to be the battle for 4th place. Jared Davis, P5, coming across the line again. Nate heads up to the high side of the circuit. Jared Davis right down low. Campbell's got the edge with 8 remaining. Will we see one final fight out of Davis here? Take a look. Rush off the wall ahead. Nothing happens. 8 coming to 7 laps to go. This is the closest battle among those in the top 10. The second closest is only thousandths more apart. That's still Cato and Jacob Fife. So two battles that are practically equidistant over the course of these last few laps. One's got to give on both sides of the spectrum. Who's it going to be? Cross the line again. Matt Sizzler, the lapper, now involved. Both Davis and Campbell get by. 6 laps to go. Ross Cato has lost some ground. 10th back on where he was on Fife. And looks like he's not going to be able to recover and take those spots back. Patton is now coming up on 10th place. Tom Wetmore just put 11th place Gallagher down 1. Tom, nothing more he can do but let it happen. Wetmore with 5 to go goes 1 down. Zach Schrintenal is the next driver in jeopardy. And Brad is coming up at a pace where he could indeed put him 1 lap down with 5 remaining. 26 seconds back, and Patton is on average nearly a second quicker. To the line, 4 remaining for what could be Brad's second win of the season. Ethan Lane has been able to slowly but surely keep himself inside of the podium. Sam Nieto looks like he is fixed in the second spot. Sam here is going to take it down the back straightaway comfortably. Jared Davis is again behind Nate Campbell from the backside of that number 45 car. He cannot lose a moment of focus and concentration, for if he does, Davis could sweep up and get him. One lap down is a battle again between Gallagher and Tom Wetmore. It looks like one might just give, and it could be Tom Wetmore now. Josh to the inside, no more. He'll take the second groove, and he's got to run. Gallagher for 10th. Makes it in. Wetmore falls out of favor, and the 51 slides out of line. To the inside groove. Lower and lower still. Tom Wetmore having trouble after defending for upwards of 40 laps. 2 to go now for Brad Patton. And it looks like, with being put 1 lap down by Brad, the Roadhouse Racing Championship chances have officially come to a close after that horrible incident involving both Cannon and Wetmore alike. Little can be done now as Cato runs in the top 10. Campbell and Nieto alike run in the top 5. Those are the 3 who look to punch their ticket. 1 lap to go for Brad Patton, however, and he is worried not at all about the championship situation tonight. He's out for his own purpose, and that purpose is to win. Late in the going, got the chance to take the race lead. Strategy fell into his hands, and as always, your 28th place starter, when he's given the opportunity, he never lets go. Coming at turn 4 for the second time this season and the first time in the playoffs, Brad Patton brings his Toyota Camry back to victory lane, finishing the round of 10 with the spoiler victory. Sam Nieto punches his ticket to the final 5, finishes second. Ethan Lane third. Nate Campbell locked in 4th. And for the second time in his career, Ross Cato is going to the final 5 as he finishes 7th. From the cut line, stays there, and hangs on to see another day. Nothing came easy for Brad Patton tonight, I'll tell you this much. And I'm sure he knows it as well. Time to celebrate again with his first multi-win season in his Octane Series career. There's Lane. Looking to burn it down and celebrate with. Come up alongside Brad Patton and give him the cue to burn it. And quickly, Brad Patton does. Patton collects victory And post-race coverage is coming up next. We'll be right back after this as Brad Patton collects his second win of the season with your race results and post-race interviews. Don't go anywhere. Live on FTN Broadcasting. We'll return after the following message.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Post-race results from Kansas tell the story of the late race, but maybe not the whole thing. Brad Patton's able to survive and lead the final 56 in consecutive order and win for the second time this season. Sam Nieto punches his ticket as the fourth seed in the playoffs, leading 9 on the day and finishing second. Third place is Ethan Lane, fourth is Nate Campbell, fifth is Jared Davis, and P6 is Jacob Fife. Notably, 28th up to first, 26th up to third, 25th up to fifth. And interestingly enough, a very common theme with these top 10 guys, or more common than usual, starting 25th or lower. 3 of our 10. Impressive job from those guys. Ross Cato, final man to make it through, 7th from 8th in qualifying. Casey Shute, his best run of the season, 8th place. Zach Schrinthal goes 9th, and Nick Tarbuck finishes up the top 10. Then from there, 11th place is Josh Gallagher. 12th is Tom Wetmore, who led laps but saw trouble late, going 1 lap down. 13th goes Nolan Potter. Brian Greenlee is 14th. And Matt Sizzler caps off your top 15. 16th place is Galen Gidman. 17th, Eli Cars. 18th, to Bobby Keith. 19th, John DeBarro. And Blake Cannon wraps up the top 20. 21st place is then going to be Brock Potter with 22nd, Sean Kalist, Aaron Eads 23rd, Nicholas Ward 24th, Alex Kim 25th with Woody Mahan, Don Stevenson, Brian Yazik, Randy Fayash, and Cody Smith wrapping up the top 30, Brent McClendon 31st and final driver on the lineup. Flag, of course, in order that began with that early retiree in McClendon, finishes with Brad Patton getting it done again. This was as traditional of a Brad Patton race as it comes, from top to bottom. With a win, his second of the season, it all began by not taking a qualifying time, and it looks like those beginning struggles of working from the back matter not when you lead the final 56 in a row, Brad, and you just took away the field, or took yourself away from it, and won on pace.
Yeah, it was it was an interesting race to say the least, come from the back. But I mean, Kansas, I always run good here. It was really weird because my force feedback on my wheel halfway through the race, like, or from the beginning all the way to halfway through the race, was like non-existent. It would come back in the corner, go out, come back, and I was like, I just need to save the car. Don't try to wreck. Don't try to do anything dumb. Save some tire if I possibly could, and try to work my way up through the field. And luckily, it came back as the caution came out where I took the lead. I was like, oh my God, thank you.
And, I mean, you mentioned it there, the yellow flags flipping a script time and again, catching us in the middle of our green flag cycle. What led you to let off so long where things went your way?
Well, I knew Blake was going to go in within 5 laps of after the stage, and I had the same thought process, because the tires were starting to go bad. Everybody was getting warnings, so I was like, within 5, if he goes, I'm going to just follow him. And I mean, I'm happy with a P2, riding around P2, and luckily, as I was entering my pit stall, the caution came out, and then was accident pit road. Following the pace car, I guess I was the leader, and 3 cars passed me, and then we were going through a whole thing on everybody was getting mad because they were, the it was telling me to pass him under pacing, and I was like, there's nothing I can do about this. I'm just following the rules. But yeah, it was really weird, but at the end there, it was really fun.
Well, of course, having that track position helps out a whole lot. Clean air, and looked like you were struggle-free to the end of it. But even beforehand, you had a lot of work to do to even get to that position. 28th. We know you don't like taking those qualifying times. You put yourself in the back there. What was it like when it comes to the racing to even get close enough to the lead to make that call?
Well, I didn't want to qualify because, for one, I gave up my spot in the playoffs to Sam, and I wanted all the guys that were in the playoffs, besides Ethan. I convinced him to go back there with me, but I wanted them all to qualify and, race their way into the championship. Now, luckily, I won the race, so I kind of took a spot away, I would assume. But it was just, like I said, it was just work my way through the field slowly but surely and make my passes where I can make them and just stay out of the trouble.
And all things considered, a great return to the playoffs. And first and foremost, some of the viewers might not know exactly why you left for this temporary period, gave up that championship spot. Congratulations to you and your wife having a child, a huge deal. Great to have you back on the racetrack, but I know things are going, perhaps, hopefully, of course, a lot better outside of the sim.
Yeah, it's a little hectic right now. I just, like I said, on September 9th, we had our baby girl. Her name is Lainey. So I'll dedicate this win to her and my wife, of course, going through the whole trouble of having a kid. I mean, this is a game, but, she lets me do it. So I'm dedicating this to her and my newborn daughter.
There we go. Brad Patton, first win back on the sim, taking that early playoff break and a triumphant return. Brad, if there's anything else you want to leave us with before we head to the final 3 races, sound off.
Feels good to be back, David. I appreciate you for doing the broadcast here. I got to thank Integrity for running a hell of a league. I love this league. I like the members in here. I mean, great friendships, some fun times. I got to thank my organization, Wannagoons, OG Gear, Callaway, FPS Heaven, Maconi Setup Shop, the Octane Series. I mean, the list goes on, and all the viewers for watching. So thank you.
Brad Patton back in business and just as good as ever with a victory here from Tornado Alley. Thank you for your time.
Let's go.
Brad on the way. Second place is Sam Nieto. And tonight, Nieto was in not a precarious position, but I'm sure he had a few goosebumps back and forth watching as he was back and forth being pushed to the last playoff spot available. Either way, Sam, it works out tonight as you were able to hang on second, and the final 5, you're poised for a run.
Hey, David. Yeah, it was a long race tonight. I feel a little tired, but it was good overall. Car was, I won't say difficult to drive, but it was difficult to make up any ground on anybody. I think the last run, top 4 was all just matching lap times. We were spread out about 7/8 tenths apart, and none of us could really gain on each other. So it was just a matter of track position once the last green flag fell.
And tonight, of course, stakes were high. You took that pole position, and you mentioned track position was a big deal. How important was it for you to go out there and really hunt for the pole?
Well, you always want to go for the pole. It's fun being on the pole, but I didn't get to enjoy it very long because from the start of the green flag, we were in a fuel-saving race. So from lap 1, I was clutching and coasting and didn't really get to enjoy being on the pole and just trying to be fast. So I think on the second caution, I decided to come in and get fuel just so I could make it for stage points. It would have been real close for those other guys that didn't pit. I don't think they could have made it without saving, but yes, it's fun getting pole, but didn't really get to enjoy it that much.
Well, it looks like either way, you were able to get yourself back there in the mix later on. You think, was there anything you could have changed, have a better shot for the win, or was it not the focus?
No, nothing I could have done. Dirty air is just too much. I don't know if I was faster than Brad. Even if I was, I might have been, but not fast enough to overcome dirty air. It's just so bad. Ethan, I'm sure he's going to tell you the exact same thing. You can't overcome the dirty air once you're stuck. I didn't get the lead on the restart, which was, there was no chance, but I finished where I was going to finish.
Maintaining that spot, of course, huge deal for you. This race, not the most important, though, of the ones that are coming up. The final round up next. What's now your end goal? You make it in, you've punched the ticket. What do you see yourself doing from here?
Just going out and competing. Nothing different than the first race. It's going to be a tall order to beat Ethan. I think the only chance any of us have is if he makes a mistake. None of us can beat him on speed, but I'm just going to go out there and do our best.
Sam Nieto, P2 on the day here from Kansas, and now set to go fighting for a championship. Anything else you'd like to add? The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, David, putting on the broadcast. Thanks, all the admin team. It's been a long season, almost over. Can't wait for the break, but yeah, that's all I've got.
Sam Nieto, middle of the podium placements for the Kansas Speedway. Thank you for stopping by.
All right, thank you, David.
Nieto on the move, and that leaves us with one more. He was your winner last night. He's on the podium again, but it was a different type of race from Ethan Lane, and Brad Patton shed some light on it. Ethan this time went from the back of the field, didn't take a qualifying lap, and yet still ends up in third, but it looks like stalled out from there. Ethan Lane, welcome to the booth for the second straight night. Looks like third place for you today, though.
Yeah, well, we'll take it. Definitely not our best night. I just couldn't figure out what to do tonight. I couldn't figure out the line, couldn't figure out how to save tires tonight. But yeah, third's great. We're locked into both round of fives for the 2 series. So looking to start out with a bang next week and hopefully sweep it.
Now, it looks like we got the word from Brad Patton about this one. You started from the back of the field with him intentionally there. We weren't sure what happened, but it looked like you took on the challenge of going from the mid-20s and then taking it up. So how was it for you doing that? Something I'm sure not as common for you as you would have liked it to be.
Yeah, no, since I knew it was locked in, Brad was like, why not just start in the back with me? I'm like, okay, cool. And it worked out for Brad, but not for me. Like I said, I couldn't figure it out tonight. Brad did. He was flying, and then those last 30 laps, we were just. I think all 3 of us, me, Sam, and Brad, were running pretty much roughly the same lap times, within a tenth of each other each lap. So we just couldn't make any headway. There was no speed or grip up top, and Brad had clean air that entire run, so it worked out for him.
Now, of course, tonight didn't change anything in regards to your status. Top seed, without a doubt. You're in the playoffs. Now the Final 5 is up next. Does the mindset change at all? I mean, you've got the most wins on the calendar. The numbers are in your favor in a lot of ways here. Is there anything different? Or is it just the same as?
Well, now it's points. So we all reset to the same exact point total at 5,000. So we have to focus on getting points instead of just going for the wins now. So yeah, we'll see. We got Vegas, I believe, for the Xfinity Series, and let me look where we're at going. That's Tuesday. We go to Auto Club, so really good track. Hopefully we can get away with stage points, really good stage points, and then if we have the opportunity to win, we get a win.
Well, now, double eligibility for a championship in the Integrity Racing League. Ethan Lane going in seed number 1 for both title battles, including the one that begins next week. Anything else you'd like to leave us with, Ethan?
No, that's all. Appreciate it. Well, also thank you for putting on these broadcasts. Everyone over at Integrity. Race was kind of sketchy the first part, but we had 2 really good runs, so looking forward to it with everyone. Yeah, it's going to be fun next couple weeks.
Now, 3 weeks to do it. The goal, finish the job. Ethan Lane, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Lane on the way, 2 consecutive podiums for him. He will finish 3rd place tonight. It'll be Sam Nieto punching his ticket going in P2. And Brad Patton wins for the 2nd time this season. And he brings it back in action as good as he left us. A playoff-eligible driver who had to back out, of course, due to good personal things, all things considered. It's hectic, as he said, but he's back on the track and as composed as ever. Now, We know our 5. We know who's up next. And luckily for us, the math isn't too hard to do. It's the same way they came in. Your top 5 is Ethan Lane, Nick Tarbuck, Nate Campbell, Sam Nieto, and Ross Cato. And it's now the veteran in Cato, who has multiple appearances, a veteran in Tarbuck, who's now going for back-to-back Final 5 runs against Campbell, the rookie, Nieto, the first-time playoff berth, and Ethan Lane, who was the winningest driver last season, who couldn't complete the season thanks to other obligations. Now everyone's fully committed and focused for one last dance with 3 more racing weeks from here. We'll begin that fight next Tuesday, live on FTN Broadcasting. If you enjoyed tonight's coverage, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Thank you to our new member, Jeff Chandler Racing, for joining. If you'd like to support us even further beyond subscribing, memberships are open for as little as $2.99 a month, and we sincerely appreciate all the support we've gotten from our members over the years on FTN. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's action. Congratulations to Brad Patton on his 2nd win of the season. Until next time in Fontana, California, we hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage of the Integrity OCTANE Series.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.